I am the greatest. I'm so mean I make medicine sick. It's just a job. Grass grows, birds fly, waves pound on the sand. I beat people up. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. These are all memorable quotes from Muhammad Ali. I'm sure we've all heard these once before in our lives. He was one overconfident human being, but his sort of ultimate motivator side is what has always drawn me to his quotes. For instance, two of my favorite quotes are, "If my mind can conceive it, my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it." And this quote from Cassius Clay: "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not fact. Impossible is opinion. Impossible is not declaration. It's a dare. Impossible is a potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing." When you find yourself at the exit maze of his background, his ever-changing beliefs, his great importance, and his great rhetorical ability, you see the ultimate motivator side that I see in him. His background. He was born in 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky. At this time, Kentucky was deeply engraved in big bigotry. He believed that Cassius Clay was his slave name, and for that reason he did not like his name, and later changed it in his life to Muhammad Ali. He started boxing at age 12 when someone stole his bike. He attributes his creativity to his father, who was a frustrated artist. And in school, he was not a good student. He had a D average, was 376 out of 392 in his class. He went on to turn pro in 1962. In 1964, he won his first heavyweight title by defeating Sonny Liston. Also in 1964, he converted to Islam under the direction of Malcolm X. A few of the reasons why he did this was because Cassius Clay was his slave name, or what he believed was his slave name, and he hated it. He needed to change it. So he changed it to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad means one who is worthy, and Ali means forthrightly guided caliph. Few members of the media referred to him as this, except for Howard Cosell, who would actually refer to him as Muhammad. His beliefs. He converted to Nation of Islam in 1964. He strongly disagreed with the war in Vietnam. For this protest, he had to serve 5 years in jail for disobeying draft laws. He had come up with some very memorable quotes at the time, such as, "I have searched my inner conscience, and I find I cannot be true to my belief and my religion by accepting such call." His refusal did not go unnoticed. He provoked admiration among the black community, as well as hatred among the white community. These are a few quotes that he had said during this time as well, such as, "No Viet Cong never called me no black man. Why drop bombs on millions of my brown brothers when my black brothers are treated worse here in Louisville?" These were just a few of his reasonings for why he did not want to participate in the war. And at this time, he was considered the most hated black public figure among the white community. As a result of his protests against the war, he was stripped of his ability to box in the U.S. While out on bail, he was not able to box as well. Even though he was out of jail, he was appealing his case and just still not allowed to box. So during this time, he looked for something to do. He looked for ways to motivate people, to inspire people. So he spoke on college campuses. He became a darling of the anti-war movement for giving speeches against the war. He inspired black athletes, such as Tommy Smith and John Carlos, two athletes who competed in the Olympics in Germany. And with so much hatred and ignorance towards black people in Germany at the time. When these two athletes, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, won medals at the Olympics, they raised their hand in salute as a symbol of black power. And Muhammad had directly talked to these athletes and inspired them to do so. The importance of Muhammad Ali is huge. He was a megastar amongst African Americans after he was allowed to box in 1974. Although he wasn't allowed to box in the United States, he boxed in places such as Congo and the Philippines, where he competed in the Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman and boxed for a heavyweight title. He also fought in the famous boxing match, The Thrill of Manila. This is one of the most famous boxing matches of all time. He fought Joe Frazier for the heavyweight title, and he won. The victories created a new outlook on Ali. While his character looked to be detrimented by the selfishness, by not being in the war, things of that nature, he now was looked as someone to be admired for his willingness to fight in places such as the Congo and the Philippines, places where many people are of color, and his support of these people really showed that, you know, he cared about people other than black Americans in just the United States. He also cared for colored people all over the world. He became a symbol of peace around the world as well. He personally delivered food to people in Morocco, Mexico, Ivory Coast, and Indonesia. He spoke at the UN as a messenger of peace. And here's a picture of him at the United Nations after he had given a speech. And also, his importance was echoed out in Martin Luther King's Riverside Church speech. The picture behind me shows what Martin Luther King had to say about him, which is actually remarkable. Even when pressed by demands of inner truth, men do not easily assume the task of opposing their government's policy, especially in time of war. Nor does the human spirit move without great difficulty against all the apathy of conformist thought within one's own bosom and in the surrounding world. It just goes to show how strong Muhammad Ali was, not only physically, but mentally, not to conform to conformists during this time. So we all know that this man had a mouth on him. He could definitely boast with the best of them. He put up some of the most memorable boxing quotes in the history of boxing. But his influence on African American culture transcends his antics in and out of the ring. His slave background, his Islamic beliefs, huge image and use of rhetoric that goes way above his perceived intelligence are what made him the great influence he was.